Tri-tip is considered a steak, and it's a cut from the bottom of the sirloin. It looks a bit like a boomerang and typically weighs about 2.5 to 3 pounds. It's one of the most flavorful cuts of meat and one of my favorite steaks. Now, there are a few things you'll need for a flavorful steak cooked perfectly to your liking. First up is a good quality garlic herb salt, and we'll need some black pepper, a neutral oil. I use avocado oil. You'll also need a probe thermometer specifically designed for use with grills and barbecues. We're going to make a steak with a perfectly seasoned crust and juicy interior, so you definitely don't want to use a dull knife that will smash out the juices and shred the crust. Make sure you use a sharp knife to cut this steak. When the steak is removed from the grill, it's immediately wrapped in a layer of foil to rest for 15 to 25 minutes. I found that foil is the best wrap for this step, and the resting period is critical for the steak to finish cooking, the juices to settle in, and the flavor to fully develop. That's it, so let's get going. First up, let's cut off any ragged edges and silver skin and trim down the fat as much as possible. Second up, the tri-tip is a fairly thick cut, so you'll want to season it heavily with salt and pepper. To get a beautiful and tasty crust that will keep the juices in while it cooks, I pat the moisture from the steak and apply a generous amount of salt and pepper on both sides and lightly massage it in. Don't spray it with oil or use anything else on the surface of the meat before or after massaging in the salt and pepper. Then let it rest on a rack, uncovered in the refrigerator overnight or for at least 3 to 4 hours. The salt will draw out just enough moisture from the surface of the steak to create a crust that will keep the moisture from escaping as you grill the steak. Just before placing the tri-tip on the grill, go ahead and spray the surface of the steak with a neutral oil so you get a searing effect that will also keep the steak from sticking to the grill. It's also time to insert the temperature probe in the thickest part of the steak and set the thermometer for the desired internal temperature. I cook my tri-tip to 120 degrees for a perfect medium rare. The grill should be hot, at least 400 to 450 degrees. Then place the steak over direct heat, close the lid, and cook for 5 to 6 minutes per side. Then finish cooking over indirect heat with a closed lid until the desired internal temperature is reached in the thickest part of the steak. I find the best way to serve this delicious steak is to slice it to about 1/2 inch thick and place it on a serving platter. The key is to make sure you slice across the grain, and you'll need to adjust your direction about halfway through because the grain changes direction. This steak is just absolutely delicious. I like to serve it with onion fritters, or that smoked salmon pasta salad is great with it. Twice baked potatoes, cowboy beans. Green salad is wonderful. Also potato salad, of course, and fresh bread doesn't hurt anything ever. I hope you enjoy this.